How do we reinvent fashion? That's the burning question in the industry today. If we want to get to the root of the problem, it goes back to how it's taught. Fashion schools are costly and elitist. So former journalist Nadine Gonzalez decided to create a French version of the school she established a few years ago in the favelas of Rio. The idea being to get young people, inmates and sex workers out of poverty. In Saint-Ouen, the situation's not as extreme, but the principle's the same. Tuition's free, you don't need qualifications to get in. It's called Casa 93, like the Seine-Saint-Denis postcode where it's located.
We were so lucky to have the support we did from the outset. We started the association with nothing at all, just some fantastic volunteers and a free space. That's the sort of thing you never forget. For us, it's been a really painstaking task. It's like a made-to-measure program that we create every time, and we adapt that depending on the profile of our students. What they learn is that doing things together is always better than doing them alone, working collectively with respect for others and the planet too.
Students here work on special projects throughout the year, hand in hand with the brands and institutions that have entrusted them with these commissions. Today's a big day, the end-of-year show, and this season's collective collections inspired by recycling, of course.
The garments that we designed were made with leftover fabrics, donated by the brands who are sponsoring us. It's material that they don't need anymore, and you can still make a lot of stuff with these offcuts.
For example?
This is a cropped bomber jacket. I did this gathered effect on the sleeves myself. And on the bottom, a really simple pair of white pants in jersey fabric, with these shoes that were customized by my classmates.
Kautar's 19, and despite doing well at school, she decided against university, reluctant to get her family into debt for the sake of her studies. True to her beliefs, she only wears second-hand clothing.
That's what's crazy about this school. It's that you see the logic in everything that we're doing, why we're doing it, and then what are we going to do later on? It's such a fantastic experience. I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives since I've been at Casa 93. Because every time we do a project, even if you think it's going really well, there's a problem or a challenge. But we always manage to solve it, and it's really an incredible experience. I've learned so much.
Cooperation's at the centre of Casa 93's philosophy. Everyone has to learn to get stuck in and lend a helping hand with other people's projects.
I worked in a kimono for La Redoute, so I used lots of different pieces of their surplus stock, including a jean jacket and velvet piece that I used to make the collar. I wanted to get this mix between a hard denim workwear look and the soft, supple feel with the velvet. I managed to blend that in with the other offcuts people donate to Casa. I called the kimono hybrid. It's a hybrid because of the materials I used, but also in terms of the cut.
Johannes is 23 and he's been out of school for 2 years. He grew up in the north of Paris in a disadvantaged neighbourhood of Argenteuil. It taught him about the social codes in a housing estate and just how different they are to the more affluent parts of Paris.
Knowing these social codes is a valuable thing, as long as you don't get fenced in by them. You just have to use them, their history, know where you come from, but also be interested in the culture that's around you too. That can be a culture that you don't necessarily have access to, but I think it's always good to have that curiosity. And even if you come from a deprived area, you shouldn't get trapped by seeing yourself as a victim. You can't think, oh, I come from a deprived area, I can't do anything. On the contrary, that so-called weakness can be a strength, and it can be a real solid source of strength. Casa 93 is much more than a fashion school. It's really a life school. It gives us a bit of distance to see ourselves in the world, and then we can go and participate in that world as individuals. The big question is, what am I trying to convey with this style, this fashion?
Léana is 24. She grew up in the Lorraine region, an underprivileged area in the northeast of France, close to the borders with Belgium, Luxembourg and Germany. After moving to Paris at 16, she struggled to make ends meet and ended up living in squats. Sewing's her passion, and here she's being coached by a pro, designer Christelle Cocher.
It's true in the beginning, we did have strong ideas about things, and we could easily have veered off into costumes. What I mean is, we'd be up for wearing all sorts of things, a hat like a traffic cone or whatever, and she was really good at calming us down. We like funny things, stuff that's a bit different, but at the same time it can be too extreme. You do have to be able to wear it.
Casa 93's collective collection was held up as one of the best examples of creative energy this year.
This generation is really committed, socially and politically. And this collective is even more so, because they're totally aware of the issues we face in terms of the planet, and they are also asking the question, what does it mean to be making clothes today? And that's very positive for the fashion industry.
And for more than half of the class, this is not the end of the road. Paris's prestigious Fashion Institute has decided to provide scholarships to these young talents, which will cover 3 years of higher education. As for Casa 93, their work continues thanks to the energy and passion of its volunteers.
France 24 is partnering with the American Film Festival in Deauville, where Hollywood storms the beaches of Normandy. Johnny Depp, Pierce Brosnan, Kristen Stewart, Gina Davis will bring you all the glamour and behind-the-scenes action on air, online, and on social media on France 24.